Peace, family. $7 trillion in U.S. stock market losses since Donald has taken office. But I'm not going to make this video about that. I'm going to talk about that later. But there is a reason why Donald's stupidity is being exposed so quickly in this election as opposed to his first one. But like I said, we'll discuss that later. This video is about these spineless Democrats and Chuck Schumer, to be specific. The Republicans took it upon themselves to write this continuing resolution to keep the government open. A bill that they wrote by themselves with no help from the Democrats. That's filled with cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, all to pay for the tax cuts for the millionaires and billionaires. And Hakeem Jeffries said no Democrat will vote to help the Republicans pass this bill. And Chuck Schumer and a few others did exactly that. And they passed this bill. And it's like I always say, the Democrat and Republican Party, both of them are trash. The Democrats has no spine, and the Republicans are just a bunch of cowards. Chuck Schumer's reason or his logic for breaking rank and helping the Republicans to pass a bill that they had no help, no assistance whatsoever, and they couldn't even pass the bill themselves, and without Democratic support. And Chuck Schumer didn't want the Democrats to take the blame if the government shut down. I don't know where you get this logic from. Everybody knows that Donald is the president. This man campaigned on a vendetta. He never spoke about the people. He only talked about seeking vengeance for himself, and they voted him in office. He didn't even run for president. He ran to be a dictator, and they still voted for him. So how on earth could Donald, a Republican, the Senate Republican, the House Republican, not take the blame if the government shut down on a bill that they passed all by themselves? They wrote it themselves with no help from nobody else. You know, Chuck Schumer's reasoning was the fact that he didn't want Donald and Elon Musk and his musketeers running through Washington without the government there to manage his movement. Well, here's a news flash. The government has always been intact, and they've done nothing to stop this man and Elon Musk from doing whatever they wanted to do. And these people have targeted the most vulnerable citizens of this country. Veterans, the elderly, children, and with the government intact, they've done nothing to stop this guy. All his appointees, none of them, except for Matt Gaetz, all of them have been voted in. This man has fired hundreds of thousands of people, shut down departments indiscriminately. You firing people so fast that you got to hire them back because you didn't know they was part of the nuclear arsenal. And this is what this man have done with the government intact. I would have loved to see what Donald Trump and Elon Musk have done with no government hinges in place. This would have given the people exactly what they wanted. A fully empowered Donald with no barriers whatsoever. Because, see, the actions that he's taking now, all these firings, all these shutting down departments, all this so-called wasteful fraud, waste, and spending that they supposedly is finding. See, this is what you call the lightning. This is what you see and hear right now. But later on, it's going to come the thunder. When these actions and behaviors start to hit the people, when you start hearing the wails and the moans of the elderly, of the veterans, when the children start going hungry because they're not funding programs to feed them, when the people don't have the WIC, the Social Security. And this is exactly what they voted for. Because see, you be more mindful next time. When you have the opportunity to vote between two political candidates, one running on a vendetta, that's speaking about being a dictator, and you have another that's running for the people, that's speaking about everybody, I would have loved to see what Donald Elon Musk would do with no government hinges. Because see, you elected this guy with over 34 felonies to be a dictator. And then if that wasn't bad enough, you elected this man, this felon, and then give him complete immunity for whatever crimes that he may commit while being president of the United States, and you still voted him in there. And you think that this guy is going to do anything to benefit the people? You didn't have 46 presidents before him. Not one of them have ever needed to be protected by immunity from committing a crime in office. I would have loved to see what Donald and Elon Musk would have done without the fear or even the pretense that somebody's going to be there to stop them. But you know, the fact of the matter is, I've talked to people, and I've asked them. I say, if your daughter was to bring home a man that idolized Donald Trump, he looked like him, dressed like him, inspired to be like him, would you encourage your child to date this guy? And she said immediately, absolutely not. But what if your son idolized Donald, wanted to be like him, wanted to dress like him? Would you encourage him to do this or discourage him? I would not want my son to be like Donald Trump. I wouldn't. Well, if he's not good enough for your daughter, if he's not good enough for your son, how on earth was this man good enough to be your president? And my final point is this. If the people thought that this man was good enough to be their representative, this man, no morals, no principles, no character, no kindness, no compassion, no consideration, no intellect, if he was good enough for them, black people, why on earth would he be good enough for you? What mutual interest could Donald possibly have that would align itself with what a president should be for our people? If for whatever reason, if it was good enough, I don't see how possibly this man could be good enough for us. This is a cry, a plea, that it has got to be time for us to come together as a people and build our own independent means to sustain our own existence. Because when this guy gets through doing what he's doing, whether the government is intact or not, it's going to be in such a state of ill repair. Starting completely over may be the only viable option left. And we should have started this process years ago.